In a dramatic and escalating crisis, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has condemned the far-right thuggery that has swept through the streets of Britain, following a violent assault on a Rotherham hotel housing migrants and asylum seekers. As chaos ensues with rioters clashing with police and targeting minority communities, Starmer has vowed to hold those inciting violence accountable. Meanwhile, the Home Office has announced new emergency security measures for mosques, reflecting the severity of the situation and the government's determination to restore order. The turmoil began when hundreds of far-right protesters, clad in balaclavas and brandishing St. George's flags, stormed the Holiday Inn Express in Rotherham, South Yorkshire. The protesters clashed violently with police, resulting in injuries and property damage. This assault on a hotel sheltering vulnerable migrants and asylum seekers was part of a broader pattern of unrest that has plagued Britain in recent days, following the tragic stabbing of 3 young girls in Southport by alleged knife-man Axel Mugenwa. In response to the escalating violence, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has forcefully denounced the actions of the far-right extremists. From Downing Street, Starmer declared his commitment to ensuring that those responsible for fueling the chaos, whether on the streets or online, will face justice. His comments reflect a broader crackdown on hate-fueled violence, as he emphasized that there is no justification for such actions and called for a unified condemnation from all right-minded individuals. The situation has prompted the Home Office to implement new emergency security measures for mosques, acknowledging the increased threats faced by Muslim communities amid this unrest. This step underscores the government's urgency in addressing the rising tide of hate crimes and protecting vulnerable populations from further violence. Amidst the chaos, images from Rotherham depict the far-right protesters breaching the hotel and clashing with officers. Rioters were seen hurling objects at police and setting fires, with some demonstrators waving provocative banners and chanting inflammatory slogans. The violence has been sharply criticized by anti-racism groups, including campaigner Brendan Cox, who condemned the actions as a murderous attempt to incite further terror. Local officials, including South Yorkshire's Mayor Oliver Coppett, have expressed their outrage over the brutality, emphasizing that such violence does not represent the values of their communities. The mayor's statement highlights the stark contrast between the violent minority and the majority of citizens committed to justice and peace. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper and former Home Secretary James Cleverly have both called for stringent measures against those involved in the violence. Cooper labeled the attacks as utterly appalling, while Cleverly urged that rioters be met with the full weight of the law. The severity of the situation has been met with calls for immediate action to restore order and bring perpetrators to justice. The unrest has spread beyond Rotherham, with protests and riots erupting in cities like Hull, Liverpool, and Manchester. In some areas, vehicles have been set ablaze, shops vandalized, and police officers injured. The situation has been exacerbated by looting and further attacks on community resources, such as the fire at the Speller Lane Library Hub in Merseyside, which also serves as a food bank. As Britain grapples with this surge of violence, the government faces a critical challenge in quelling the unrest and protecting its citizens. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's condemnation of the far-right violence and the implementation of emergency security measures represent crucial steps in addressing the immediate crisis. However, the path to restoring order and healing the divisions within the country will require ongoing vigilance, decisive action, and a united front against those who seek to incite fear and chaos. As the nation watches closely, the government's response will be pivotal in determining whether peace can be restored and communities can begin to heal from the wounds inflicted by this troubling chapter.